I'm Ivo from Sense Beauty, and I have the pleasure and the honor to talk to Mr. Dorian Yates, 6-time Mr. Olympia, legend in the sport of bodybuilding. Hi Dorian.
Hi.
What's your impression of Bulgaria? You've been here already a few days.
It's my first time here, so I see a lot of enthusiasm with the people about the training and bodybuilding. Enthusiastic and friendly, so it's been a good trip.
I even can imagine that a lot of your fans didn't find out that you're here. I want to ask you, what changed? Has something changed in your personality? Because in the past, when you were at the top, Mr. Olympia, you were training in seclusion, in your temple gym. There was not much information about your training. Nothing, we didn't know what's going on, and then you were appearing out of nowhere, winning the title, disappearing again, and that's why they call you the shadow.
Exactly.
And now, actually, you don't shy away from the camera, you're on the spotlight, you're speaking freely your mind about different topics, like politics. You're open to speak about the use of steroids, which is taboo in the bodybuilding community. Also, you are very vocal about the use of cannabis, etc. What changed?
Well, I think if you're the same person when you're 60 that you were when you're 30, then you probably wasted 30 years of your life. So we should all be changing a little bit or evolving. I think this is life, and also we live in a different world from when in the 90s there's no internet, there's no way to communicate with people. The only way to communicate was in the magazines. If you get your picture in the magazine, you get your story in the magazine, and I didn't really like that side of the sport, the publicity and these kind of things. What I really loved was the training and having to work out myself, the nutrition, the training, and I kept a diary of all my things so I could analyze what's working and not working. So we had less information then. We had magazines, you had a few books, some books on nutrition that I read. So for me it was like a fascinating process to learn how the best way to train, to learn the best way to diet and the best nutrition in order to bodybuild and things like that. And I enjoyed the privacy. I just wanted to train and do my job, and I did publicity in the magazines a few times a year, and that was sufficient then. When you do an interview with a bodybuilding magazine, normally they ask you the same questions about bodybuilding, and it's okay, but you know, you get older, you have more experiences, you learn more things, and you have knowledge and have opinions on different subjects. And now I have a chance that I've been able to talk about not just bodybuilding, but many things, and people are interested to hear what I have to say, and they find it valuable. And a lot of people come to me and they say, "Oh, we know you from bodybuilding, and we respect you for this, but I saw this talk about something, and it helped me in my life. I could relate to it." So that's what it's about. It's about realizing that somehow we're all connected, and that we should try to help each other. And by sharing my experiences and my opinions, somehow it's helping some people. So I'm in a position where I can do that because people, I have a name, people know me, so I have a platform in order to talk, and that's what I do. And if people enjoy it, then I do it more. If they say, "No, we don't want to listen to you," then maybe I wouldn't talk so much. But people are interested, so I do. So I don't know if it's right to say my personality has changed, but you evolve, through life, through your experiences, and I had a lot more life experience. When I was young, I just did bodybuilding. So this is what I can talk about. This is what I know about bodybuilding. Since then I have a lot of life experience, so there's more things that I have knowledge and opinions on, and I can talk about. So I guess that's why.
And you're a public figure, many people know you, so you can reach more people.
Yeah, and we have these things now, the internet, and podcasts and stuff like that where you get to talk and on various subjects. So I find that enjoyable, because if I talk about bodybuilding, for sure I've talked about it before. You know, whatever you want to ask me, I've done it thousands of times. So it's a bit more interesting sometimes to talk about other things as well.
Yeah, sure, that's life. And now that what you mentioned is that you kept your journals. This is also what I know about your training, that you wrote all the sets, all the weights, everything. And you used a scientific approach to bodybuilding.
It was like a scientist makes notes. He tries something. If it doesn't work, you make a note, this doesn't work, and then you discard it. You waste no more time with this, it doesn't work. And then the things that work, you keep them, and slowly you get a system that works.
Exactly, this is exactly what Bruce Lee said many years ago, that you take what's useful and the rest...
Well, I'm a huge Bruce Lee fan, so I'm sure that he's one person that had an influence on me. And Bruce Lee was a person who was almost obsessed with being with being as good as he could be, and trying to be as good as he, and always having this in his mind and putting everything into it. So he's one inspiration for me. He wasn't a bodybuilder, but he was a guy who was excellent, and he was not afraid to think for himself and to forget about the tradition and this and that, what came before. I'm only interested in what works, and it was exactly the same for me. So some people call me the Bruce Lee of bodybuilding just because of this analytical approach. And for instance, Tom Platz was an amazing guy, very inspirational guy when I started, and he had the best legs anyone had ever seen. And he said, you have to squat. But I was squatting, and it was working well, but I got injured squatting. So maybe it was not meant for me, and I had to try other different approach, different exercises, and in the end that worked for me. So it doesn't matter what somebody says or what somebody did before you. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work. You know, you have to realize you have to move on.
You don't use the norms of the past, as you said, Bruce Lee was not a traditionalist.
Yeah.
Exactly. Another thing in your training is that I learned that you had a big collection of magazines. You read everything about bodybuilding.
Everything. And even from the past, people gave me old magazines from before I started training. So I was even reading the old ones as well.
Really, like books, because I also have a collection of books from Georg Hackenschmidt.
Yeah.
The all-time strongman. Really,
yeah, you can find some good information in there.
Yeah, really
even I have a book from Eugene Sandow. Eugene Sandow is the guy who was generally known maybe to be the first bodybuilder. He was a strong man, but he had a physique, he looked like a bodybuilder, and he wrote books back in late 1800s, 1900s, and the information in there is pretty, it's pretty advanced.
Yes.
I used to love that the small Iron Man magazines. They were full of information from the past. So yeah, I was always interested in reading and trying to learn more. It's fortunate for me that I liked reading, because I can read something I can read a book or a magazine all the way through. I like reading, so it was easy for me to look for the information. Now people are a bit lazy, they don't want to read, they want to watch podcasts or listen to something, but I enjoyed reading.
Yes, and this is, I'm sorry to make another parallel between you and now Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson, that they were studying all-time boxers.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson had a huge collection of DVDs watching boxing from the beginning of the century, whatever cameras they had, and learning and studying, and you did the same in bodybuilding. Yeah,
because if you want to be really good, you have to be a little bit obsessed. It has to be the most important thing in your life if you want to be really excellent at something, whatever that is, I think.
And what would you say that is the key to your success? Is it determination, power of will?
It's the mental side. The physical side, of course, to be a professional bodybuilder, Mr. Olympia, you have to have certain physical characteristics, but I'm not the only one that had those. Many people have that, and maybe even better than me. I don't know, but this is what separates the number 1 from 2, from 3, from 10, because everybody is good. And I came from a background in England where it wasn't really a big bodybuilding country, or we didn't have a lot of gyms at the time in the 80s, so it was not the best background. But I was very determined to do well in bodybuilding, and I felt it was one way that I could change my life. I didn't have a lot of opportunities, I didn't have a good education, I didn't have a family, so I was limited in my options, and I didn't want to be like the average person. I never wanted to be like that. There was always a drive inside me to be something different, so maybe that's something you're born with, I'm not sure.
Yes, probably. I'm also thinking that direction, that probably winners are born, and you just had to find your way. Do you think that, for example, if you did other sport or something else, you'll be that successful?
Well,
as you
it's an interesting question, because you have to have the natural talent for it. So let's say when I was a kid, in England, everybody loves soccer, everybody plays soccer. So I played when I was a kid, but I was not good. Well, I was not naturally a good player at soccer. If I was, maybe I would have put all my energy into that. But when I started bodybuilding, it felt like this is the thing for me, and my physique was developing very, very early on.
I think, as I remember, you won your first tournament after just 1.5 years of training?
1.5 years training. I won a novice competition, and then the British team asked me to compete as a heavyweight in the World Championship, which is 2 weeks later. So I've gone from a beginner contest to the most advanced amateur contest on the planet in 2 weeks. So for sure I was looking very good for somebody that was only training for 18 months. I'm competing with people that have been training for minimum 5, 6, 8 years.
And you were on 7th place?
7th place from 13 competitors.
So just with, amazing, just with 1.5 years of training?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you found your way in bodybuilding. If you could go back in time, would you do that again? I mean,
yeah, for sure. I mean, it's changed my life. I've been all around the world, which probably without bodybuilding I wouldn't be able to do. And that's one of the things. When I was young, I was like, before I leave this life, I want to see and experience as much as I possibly can. And I've been to most of the countries around the world now, including Bulgaria now, which is one of the European countries I haven't been to. There's a few more. I haven't been to Ukraine and Serbia. There's a few countries like this, but mostly I've been to all the United States, Japan, China, Australia, New Zealand, Brazil, Canada. A lot of places I've been through bodybuilding, and meet a lot of good people that you meet along the way.
Who would you say was your toughest opponent on the stage? Or you never concentrated on the competition, but just on your training?
I didn't really concentrate on the competition. Of course I'm aware of them, of who I'm competing with, but I can't control what they're going to do, so I can only control what I'm going to do. So I was confident if I would be the best that I could be, and I put 100% into it, then I could win. So that was the way I was thinking. But we have a few people that came second to me during my career. Flex Wheeler, who was probably the guy that I thought he has the most potential. I mean, amazing physique. But to be honest, he probably didn't give, well, not probably, he didn't give 100%. I think he would admit himself. Sometimes when you're gifted and you're young, you don't realize what you have. So I think he didn't give 100% during that period. But he was second to me. Kevin Leverone, of course, was another great bodybuilder. He came second to me. Sean Ray came second, and Nasser Al Sambati. So all those guys were were great, really. So there was a lot of good competitors there. If you know, if you're off, you could be in trouble. So it was a lot. It wasn't just one guy, but probably Flex was the guy with the most potential.
You're kind of critical of the state of bodybuilding today. What's your opinion on that? To be honest, I lost interest and I stopped watching what's happening in the Olympia after you left. Maybe I watched Ronnie Coleman a few times, and then
I think a lot of people feel the same. But am I critical? Well, I don't go around criticizing anything. But if somebody asks me a question, then I answer the question, like honestly. So that's when I give my opinion. And one of the questions I was asked on a podcast was, after Brandon Curry won, what do you think about Brandon Curry's physique? So I choose to only point out the positives with his physique. But then the second question comes, how would he do in the Olympia in the 90s? And then I have to give another honest answer. I said he wouldn't place in the top 6, because that's what I believe, and I think a lot of people agree with me. But it was not my intention to criticize Brandon or bodybuilding or anything. It was ask a question and I give the answer, that's it.
Yes, you give always honest answers.
Yeah, if you ask me a question, you're going to get the honest answer. So that's it.
I just would like to ask you about your brand, Dorian Yates Nutrition, and what is next for your brand. I heard that you want to specialize more in the health line products.
Well, we have the shadow line, which is more serious, like a bodybuilding line or serious athletes, and we have another line, Renew, which is you know, it's still for sports people or people who are working out, but maybe more, a little bit more mainstream, and some more products in there that I'm using myself now that I'm getting older, like fish oils and formula for the joints and different vitamins and minerals, things like that. And we have pre-workout with no stimulants in. I used to use, you know, all the, well, back in the 90s we didn't really have pre-workouts, we just used caffeine and ephedrine, stuff like that. But as I'm getting older, I wouldn't want to use those, so I like a pre-workout without the caffeine in, so we made one of those. So we have products for anybody, whether you're young and you're not fully into bodybuilding, or you're just working out for yourself, or you're into some other sports. We're trying to cater to everybody, so that's where we're at now. And of course our products, shadow lines in Bulgaria, and just developed a very good protein bar as well, which took us a long time, because every product that I make, I want it to be the best that it can be, using the best materials. We have it tested at third-party labs. There's a lot of cheap products, people cutting corners, saving money, and in this industry, so I don't want to be like that. People are just looking to make quick money. Of course, it's a business, you have to make a profit, but yes. I want to give people the, you know, if they buy a product from me, protein, pre-workout, creatine, whatever it is going to be using the best materials on the market and as good as it can be at this point. That's my promise, and it's my company, it's not somebody paying me to say this, it's my own venture. You know?
Yes. And how is your life changed now? I mean, you're not doing this heavy training as you used to do.
No.
I know that you're doing yoga and riding bikes, swimming, other sports that you enjoy.
Yeah, well, when I was doing bodybuilding, you know, if you're doing a sport, you have to just concentrate on this sport. You don't really have time or energy or to do other things, and it may interfere with your training. So now I have the freedom to do other things. Plus I have some injuries from the heavy training. Both of my shoulders are injured. One actually was dislocated recently because I fell off my mountain bike. So I can't really train heavy if I wanted to. So I just do some light weights. I do some mobility training, flexibility training, fitness training, because I'm training for two reasons now. One, I enjoy it. I love to do any kind of training, doesn't matter anything. I've done martial arts, I've done CrossFit, I've done lots of things, and I enjoy the challenge of doing them all. But what's the point, apart from enjoying it? The point is, I'm doing what serves me now. It doesn't serve me to be 140 kilos. I'm 60 years old next year, so I need to be having a body which is useful for me, which I can live a good, healthy, quality life. So I need good flexibility, I need mobility, I need some strength and fitness. So I do a little bit of everything, and I enjoy it. I enjoy doing yoga because it's totally opposite to what I did in the gym. The gym is just pure aggression, where yoga is you're relaxing and concentrating on your breathing. So in the past I pushed my body. Now I'm trying to be nice to my body and keep it in a good shape, that's all. Okay?
Thank you very much for this interview.
Thanks.
I really appreciate the time.
Thanks, Bulgaria.